Hello, welcome to the end of the year. That is crazy. I'm filming this on the 26th, so we do still have a couple of days. We've got just under a week, so things might still happen, but I don't expect very much. And this video is just going to be a reflection on this year. I think I generally do these videos, but I always forget that I do them. But I have a lot of thoughts always when it comes to New Year's and stuff like that. So I like to just sort of close the chapter, if you will, and just talk about where I'm at, how I'm feeling, how I feel the year went, etc. In theory, I'm quite a strong believer that the end of the year doesn't need to be like a deadline or anything like that. I feel very strongly that you should be able to start something whenever you want and finish it whenever you want. But also practically, I know for myself that I love having that sort of wrap up and the forced chapter, if you will. So I've jotted down just a couple of like very generic points that I want to talk about. And if anything else comes up, I will talk about it too. The first thing I want to say is that I love the number 2025. I mentioned this a lot sort of at the end of last year when I was like, I can't wait. I really like that number. I also really liked the age that I was for majority of 2025, whereas 2026 I don't like as a number, and I also don't love the number that I am, like the age I am. So that's not brilliant. I think I've learned in recent years that I am more of a fan of uneven numbers, which is very unlike me, but that seems to be the case. I seem to like the 3s and the 5s more than like the 2s and the 4s and the 6s. I did like 2022 to be fair, because it was 2-2, but yeah. And I did like, 2012. Did I like 2016? I don't know. I think I preferred 18 over 17. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, so on a purely like numerical value, I'm not really looking forward to next year. But aside from that, let's talk about everything that we've had happen this year and what we might be expecting for next year and how I'm feeling going into it. So the first note I've made is about work. And basically, I feel like I started the year off very, very strong. I had 2 jobs in 2024, and I knew that after the Christmas period, come January 2025, one of those jobs would be giving me a lot less hours. And so I was kind of aware of looking for another job, but I also wasn't going out of my way to look for it. And so I feel like January, February, I actually can't remember, but I imagine it was probably quite chill. I have no idea what I did in those months. Obviously, I did quite a bit of running, I think, because I had the 10K, and then Wayne moved in February as well. But from a work perspective, I have no idea. But then come March, I did find another job, and it started off really well. I really liked the job, I liked the type of work, I liked the team, etc., etc. It did start hard. It started really hard because it was a startup, and I was on my own essentially. But then by about May, we had some more team members join, and that made a big difference. And yeah, just on from that, it got to a really good place, I felt. And then around October time, I obviously went away for a bit to Holland. And I felt like from essentially that moment, from when I left until literally this week, it has been crazy. Just completely overwhelming for me. Not completely, because I have been able to keep up with it, but definitely to a point where I was like, this might be too much for me. And it's hard for me to know going into 2026 if I want to reduce my hours at that job, or if it's just I've been doing so much overtime. I have done overtime every week since I started at that job. And if I just stop doing overtime, will it be more manageable? But then the other thing that's going through my mind is I currently I'm doing 6 days a week with 2 half days, and I find that really hard. And even if I were to keep the same hours but just squish it onto 5 days a week, yes, that would give me probably like my weekends or whatever back, which would be nice. But even then, I still worry if an acting job were to come up that I wouldn't have the flexibility to make that work. And obviously, that is the priority for me. So I'm having some thoughts. I don't know, like I really do still enjoy working at both my jobs. I really don't want to give them, or all 3, because I do still occasionally help out at that 3rd one. I don't want to give any of them up, but I really obviously want to pursue my acting career, and I want to make room for that. So keep an eye out. I'm sure I'll update you as the year goes on. But yeah, we'll see. And I suppose while we're on the topic of work and acting work, I really would have liked to do more this year. At least I did something. It was looking like it wasn't gonna be anything. And thankfully I was at least, I did at least get a job this year, which I did really enjoy. And I feel like I made a good connection with the crew, which is always good. But I do feel like I want to do more. And I think panto season also makes that hard because I've got a lot of friends who are, I'm thrilled for them that they're doing panto. Genuinely, I love seeing their posts and their videos and whatever. And I'm so happy for them. I really my friends deserve it. Absolutely. But then equally, I'm like, oh, I want to be doing that. And it's twofold. It's I want to be doing that and I miss it and I want to be on stage and I want to perform and I want to sing and blah, blah, blah. But then also why haven't I been able to get that? Admittedly, I didn't even get that many panto auditions this year. I feel like I only got one, which is also kind of crazy. And in general, I feel like I've had less auditions this year, which is annoying. But I know from everyone I speak to in the industry that it's just been really dead in general for the last few years, but also especially this year. And the fact that I can't even get an audition, I feel like that's less a reflection on my talent or skills and more just on the way I look or if I'm right for the part according to what they want to see. So I don't take it personally, thankfully, but I am I'm itching to do stuff, I really, I want to get on stage. I want to get in front of a screen, or on a screen. In front of a camera. I want to do stuff. I miss it. So that's where we're at in that perspective. And I am going to try and upload more stuff this year to YouTube. And I'm just going to try and get out of the mindset of this needs to be perfect. I'm really going to try and upload things that aren't perfect, that aren't professional. I wouldn't send them off as a self-tape, but they don't have to be. It's on YouTube. It's a bit of fun. But it just might mean that I'm able to reach more networks. I have actually reached another network through social media, and I'm hoping that maybe something will come of that as well. So that's the thing, it doesn't need to be anything big. I just miss it. I really miss it. So that's where I'm at on that. The next point I've made is about my social life. I have always been an introvert and I've always really struggled with a social life, full stop. I have social anxiety, so I will often not want to attend things and I don't like spending money, which is really hard because there's not many friend activities you can do that don't involve spending money, especially A, when you live so far away from your friends, and B, when even though you have a place of your own, it is so tiny that you cannot host. And that does really bother me. I would so happily host. I'd love to do tea and cake or even a potluck or just a meal, whatever, and board games. I would love to do that here, but it's just too small. We have 2 chairs, we have a table that maybe fits 4 and a bed in the same room. It just doesn't work. And that makes me very sad. And I know the situation is the same or similar for all my friends. They would love to host, but they just don't have the space to, and that sucks. But then also, for many years when I was in Australia, I always felt like I was the one making the effort every single time. And I just got a bit sick of it. I was kind of to a point where my parents would always tell me, friendships are a 2-way thing, but it would be I was always the one doing the thing. And so I feel like for a long time, I've not wanted to be the one who makes the effort because I felt like for so long I did make an effort and then got nothing in return. And I feel like finally this year, I think it's a combination of factors and I can't put my finger on what it is, but I really feel like I've made more of an effort and it's resulted in more fun things. And I've had a much better social life this year, despite the fact that I've been working more. And that's the other thing, I work daytime, but a lot of my friends work in theatres or whatever. So then that also makes it hard to meet up, but we've made it work. And the thing is, in my notebook, I keep track of everyone I've seen and what we've done. And I was showing it to a colleague the other day, not intentionally, but I was just flicking through it and she saw it and she said, "That's all the socializing you've done this year?" And I was like, you have no idea how good this is for me. And the truth is, for a lot of people, how little socializing I've done this year would really look like absolutely nothing. I think it's been maybe 10 times, maybe slightly more, I don't know, but really, really not a lot. 10 occasions where I met up with friends. But for me, that feels like a lot. And as I say, I really do want to do more. And I'm really making an effort now and I enjoy making an effort and it does feel reciprocated, which also feels nice. And two of my favorite things that I've done with friends this year has been either seeing shows or going to dance classes. And the reason why I especially like both of those is because yes, we're spending money, but it's something I would spend money on anyway. And especially with the dance classes, because it makes me actually go, as opposed to just say, oh, I would like to go, I haven't danced in ages. So I'm just going to try and be more proactive. I've not gone to many dance classes this year because of all the running and my knee, but I do want to next year really try and go to dance classes more often, and with that, invite friends to join. And, if it works, that would be a win, such a win. But we'll see. So yeah, I feel like social life in 2025 has definitely improved, but I do feel like there's even more places to go. And honestly, like the biggest thing is just not being able to host. I have so many games, I have so many mugs, I have so much tea. I would really love to host. And it's so funny because when we were in Australia, I always would beg my parents not to have people over. I hated hosting things, like, or being part of the host family, if you will. But I feel like it's different because Friday night and Shabbat means that like every single week we're inviting people, and obviously I wouldn't do that. But even if we could do it once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, I wouldn't even mind. But just like, I wish we could do it. It wouldn't even be free because you have to pay for the tea and the ingredients to make whatever you're making. But like, it would feel so much more personal and like, I don't know, a nicer space. If anyone has any suggestions for like places to hang out with friends that don't cost too much money, that don't involve alcohol, because that's a big thing for me as well, please do comment down below because yeah, I would love suggestions. Anyway, moving on, my next thing is moving out. Obviously at the end of last year, I moved out, that was December 2024. And then in February, Wayne moved in, and it has been so lovely. I've loved having my own space. I've loved being able to decorate. We've got some like units and things that have helped with organization and like creating more space in such a tiny flat. One of my favorite purchases of the year is my like jewelry stand. I have one in Australia and it is filled with jewellery that I've left in Australia. And since I sort of came off the ship and stayed with my grandma's, I wanted one. But equally I was like, oh, I'm not going to get one because I'm at hers and like it feels intrusive. And, you know, I was trying to like minimize the amount of space I occupied. And so eventually my cousin, I think, talked me into just buying one. And I still didn't while I was at hers, but then I did when we moved here. And it makes me very happy. And I've been wearing more jewellery as a result. So that's another win. But yeah, I've also been cooking more and baking and using my mugs again. I haven't had my mugs in so long. So, and my clothes, even things like my clothes. And yes, I do still have a winter and a summer wardrobe, but I still feel like I'm doing more with it than I was before. So yeah, overall, just really love having my own place and love having Wayne here as well. My next note is about Judaism. Obviously, it's not been an easy year to be Jewish, but I feel like the fact that it hasn't been an easy year to be Jewish has meant that I've actually wanted to be more proudly and openly Jewish. And I've kind of said this since I was on the ship. I think that's when I sort of first was like, yeah, I'm going to be more open about it and proud about it. But especially in like the last year or two, I've definitely felt like, yes, I am Jewish and proud. And it's like, I want to be loud about it. And I think also this has been the first year that I've been able to do Judaism more or less just for me, at least in like a long time. And what I mean by that is when I lived in Ireland, there was no Jewish community, there was nothing. So even though I felt a strong connection to Judaism, I couldn't do very much. And then obviously really similarly when I was in Greece, in Lapland, on the ship, like there was nothing. And then last year, I was back in London and I was able to, you know, attend more Jewish events and things and go to shul and all that. But I feel like there was a part of me that felt pressured by my grandma. And I know that wasn't from her. I know that like every grandchild does their own thing and she doesn't mind that. But I think because I was living there and because I am like a people pleaser, I just felt like I had to do Judaism her way and do it for her. Whereas this year, having moved out, I really feel like I've been able to figure out what I want to do, how I want to do it, what bits of Judaism I care about more, what I care about less, what's important to me, etc. And I was actually talking about this with some colleagues on 2 days ago. And as I was talking to them, I realized I feel like my religion, like my own personal feeling on religion, is really for once exactly how I want it to be. And it feels really nice to be in control of that. I get to pick and be Jewish exactly how I want to be. And that feels really nice. And like the other day, you don't know this, but you'll see it in a vlog in many months, I went for a 2-hour walk there and back to my aunt's for Friday night. And theoretically, I could have made the choice to take a bus. I could have got on a bus at any point, and I chose not to. And there was no outside like voice or anything that made me choose to walk instead of take a bus. I didn't feel guilty like for another person or that someone would see me or anything like that. But I just did it for me. And not even for God. Like we won't talk about my feelings and thoughts on God. But yeah, I didn't, It wasn't for any guilty conscience or anything like that. It was just my own choice and it felt really good, even though it was a long walk and it was cold. So yeah, I feel really good about that, and it's nice to be in that place after such a long time. My next point is about performing, but I feel like I've already discussed that. And then the next one is about running. I am so proud of what I accomplished in 2025 with running. I completed the 10K, which was my goal for 2025, and I did it in a time that I was more or less happy with. I had slightly better expectations for myself, but that's because my run-up had been lying to me and I didn't realise. But overall, I was still pleased, and I still did it within a good time, or at least a time I was happy with. And I had a good day, it was fun, and yeah, overall, it was just a really big highlight of the year. And I fundraised so much, and I'm so proud of that. And then, because I'm a maniac, I decided to run the big half marathon, which is just crazy. And I still don't believe that I've done it. Like, I forget that I ran a half marathon. And I think like so much of it was in survival mode. And so that's probably why I've like blocked it out. And it's so funny because I watch back the video of me vlogging it, and I am so cheerful in most of the clips, or at least like a bit peppy or whatever. And I just feel like I did not record enough of the moments where I just felt like I was dying or crawling or like literally fighting my way to continue. It was so hard, and that video makes it look like it really wasn't, and it really was. But I am proud that I did it. I'm really like shocked by myself that I did that. And again, I fundraised so much money, which is so special. And yeah, I did it. And like it's crazy to think how many kilometers I ran in 2025. Like that's crazy, like with all my training and everything. Going into 2026, I don't know what my plan is. I don't intend to do any more like long runs, unless someone gifts me a free ticket, obviously. And the thing is, and I've said this multiple times, if someone were to give me a ticket, to call it a marathon even, I would absolutely 100% do my best and, you know, train for it and everything. But if no one's going to do that, I'm not going to pay to do it again. But I do intend to still go out for runs, even if they're not long. You know, they can be 2, 3, 4, 5 kilometers, whatever. But just knowing that I can, and I just feel like it's so good for me. I don't enjoy it. I really don't enjoy it. Well, I'll come back to that. But with how much I sit at my jobs, I just feel like it's a really good, easy, supposedly, way to move. And you can control the time. You know, you can say I'm going to go out for 15 minutes and just do whatever I can in that time. The one thing I'll say about the fun is that I have found there are moments where I push myself when I'm like right towards the end of whatever I'm doing, and I push myself to sprint. You know, for like my life depends on it. And I go really fast, and it's usually only for like half a minute, if that. But that's really fun. I really enjoy it. So I feel like maybe what I need to do is do less like casual paced sessions and rather do like 5 minutes of sprint for a minute and then walk for a minute and sprint for a minute, etc. I feel like I might enjoy that more. But we'll see. I will vlog anytime I go for a run and any running updates. So stay tuned for that if you're interested. And then my final point, this is a long video, so thank you for bearing with. My final point is about my confidence. I've always considered myself quite a confident person. I've always been quite like strong in my own skin and, you know, not letting anything people say affect me too much, anything like that. And also like quite self-aware, knowing what works for me, what doesn't work. When I'm uncomfortable in a situation, like I can pinpoint that. And I know like, okay, this is happening right now, or if I have anxiety, whatever. But I feel like this year, that's just like grown. I don't really know how to describe it, but I just feel like I am so completely myself and I know myself so well. And I don't know if this is like weird to say on camera or, you know, whatever, but I like myself. And I do, again, I feel like I have always liked myself. I'm very gentle on myself. I'm not one of those people who's like, my younger version sucks or like embarrassed or whatever. But I feel more strongly, I think, than ever before that I really like the way I am. Which again, like maybe it's weird to say that on camera, but that's how I feel. And don't get me wrong, I have definitely got moments where I doubt myself, where I cry about things, where I'm anxious, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not a perfect person by any means. Or where I doubt myself or hate myself or whatever. But big picture, I feel like I have a really strong sense of self, and I like that. I'm now like, I don't know if you can see, I'm like quite uncomfortable talking about this. I don't feel very confident because it feels weird. It feels like you're not supposed to acknowledge that. But this is my channel, so I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like also over the years I've had some tough jobs, and through each job that I've had. Like since my first job, I was treated badly. So I feel like through every job that I've had, I've grown in terms of knowing my own value as well. Now, obviously, if I were to get like a West End contract or something, I'd be right down the bottom of the ladder and I would do whatever anyone tells me to, more or less. But in my other jobs, I do feel like I know my own value and I know like what I can and can't put up with and for how long. I'm not very good at saying no, but I feel like I have got better at like identifying when I need to say no. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, I feel very strong in myself and that's nice. So that is it. That's our last video of this year, would you believe it? I feel like there must be quite a lot of videos from this year, because obviously for a while I was doing 3 videos a week because of the running. Running gave me a lot of content, guys. Yeah, so I have no idea how many I've done this year. And I think we are overall around 1,250, like in total. Oh, also my subscribers have grown insanely. I knew I'd got a lot this year. What I didn't realise is that I ended last year on 300. I have almost doubled my subscribers this year. I don't know how that's happened because like I think that the big numbers came from the river cruise vlogs and videos and like that was 2023. So I don't know where you've all come from or why you're here, but I really appreciate it. So thank you so much if you are subscribed and if you did subscribe this year. And if you did, let me know why. Like in the nicest way possible. I just mean like what kind of content are you here for? Because I want to make that content for you. I'm so grateful for you. And if you haven't subscribed, why not subscribe now? You can see how happy it makes me. I think as of today, I'm on 523, I believe. So can we make it to 525 before 2025 ends? That'd be cool. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you in 2026. Ah! And I should say, there's going to be some good, well, in my opinion, good content coming out at the start of 2026 because I've got so many like wrap-ups from the year to film and that I can't get started on until the 1st of January. So I'm very excited for those and I hope you are too. All right, I'll see you then.